Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Kentucky Fried Roadkill. So what just happened was we just recorded
an entire episode.
Yeah, like 45 minutes. It's pretty good stuff, too.
It was.
God damn it, dude. Dude, I hear that's part of podcasting. You just do a whole podcast and then fucking the application shits the bed.
Sure.
And we just lost all of it. So
I feel like everything in this like it's fucking 2020. Have an autosave feature.
Dude, but it auto saved, but it didn't auto save any of the audio. So
Well, then what's the point?
So I didn't have to create a new multi-track and rename it. But
yeah.
Well,
I'm your co-host, Treyton Blackburn.
I'm Evan Pride.
Yeah, I'm Treyton Blackburn, the rat fuck bastard.
Yes, and I'm Evan Pride, the grizzly fuck bastard.
The grizzly fuck bastard. I love that.
So this is named Kentucky Fried Roadkill.
Yeah.
Which is a pretty good name, I think.
I think so too.
We were considering Grizzly Rat Radio.
Yeah.
That was one, or Grizzly Rodent Radio. Something like that. But yeah, this one's better. So what you missed?
Well, here's the thing. Do we want to? Well, let's give them what it was.
What it was,
and then just have to revel in the fact they didn't get to experience that.
Yeah. So essentially, we were just talking about
Rankin Bass Christmas specials.
Oh, we missed all that.
Yep, our young dating lives.
Treyton was talking about. We were talking about bullying.
Yeah.
Bullying. Treyton got
and the merits of said bullying.
The advantages that being bullied give you.
Yep.
Throughout your life. Just extrapolate that, if you will.
We talked about Dan Schneider. And
the hymen divider.
Disgusting.
Don't worry, that's still in the pod.
That stays.
Yeah. We talked about Dan Schneider, iCarly, how weird and creepy all those shows were.
Yep.
Yeah, some riveting stuff that you missed out on.
You missed out on. Now it's gone.
So here, let's do this. Let's go back and let's touch on the Christmas movies thing. Because we're just recording this December 6th. It'll be out later, but it's Christmas time.
Yeah.
Or it's starting to be that at this point.
Yep. Holly and jolly indeed.
I'm holly jolly.
Hey, let me tell you something. Mine and Tara's house, our Christmas decorations are impeccable.
Really?
Yes. We have the coziest.
Have you always been like a Christmas decoration family?
But Tara's family was, but my mom and dad really weren't, but my aunts and uncles and my grandparents were. So, like, my immediate family, like, my household was never, like, a Christmas decoration household, but I was surrounded by Christmas decoration households and always wanted to be like, I want to decorate my house for Christmas when I'm a grown-up, you know?
Yeah. My dad used to get up on a big ladder and... We would just do the most standard Christmas decorations ever. Just the outline of our house with lights.
Yeah.
And we'd have like a little robot penguin that we'd put in the front yard.
Your dad wasn't like Clark Griswolding it.
No. He but he had the same anger. The same motherfucker.
You know what? I've never seen National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation till completion.
Really?
I've never seen it all the way to the end.
Dude, we just watched that last night.
The farthest I've gotten is the bonus. The Jelly of the Month Club.
Oh.
That's as far as
he
I've gotten.
freaks out and he's angry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's as far as I've gotten.
You're missing out, dude.
I know. I've tried to watch it on like 5 separate occasions, and for some reason or another, every time it gets cut short.
Yeah. So we were talking about Christmas movies and people's favorite Christmas movie. You were talking about how, was it Rankin Bass,
yeah.
which are essentially all those old
stop motion
claymation.
Yeah.
Rudolph, Santa Claus is Coming to Town, Frosty, which
the best of which is
animated.
Year Without a Santa Claus.
Yeah, with the heat miser, the snow miser.
Have you never seen it?
I have seen clips of it.
We should watch it.
Obviously.
We should watch it.
Yeah.
You and I should play Snow Miser and Heat Miser.
Yeah, from my understanding, I'd be a great heat miser.
You would.
And I think you'd be a good snow miser.
I think you and I playing those roles across from each other would be amazing.
I'm Mr. Heat Miser. I'm Mr. Hot.
Hot.
I don't know the lyrics
It's a
at
great
all.
song.
Yeah, I always used to just insert my own lyrics into that.
Oh, yeah.
I used to go, I'm Mr. Snow Miser. I'm one of a kind. I'm Mr. How Did You Do It?
Did we?
I'm Mr.
Have we
G.I.
talked
Joe.
about the improviser that I worked with in the theater back home? Have I talked about him on the show yet?
I don't believe. I think you've told me about
I've
this
told you about him
in person,
but I've never.
Yeah, please.
Oh, you know what this is, don't you?
This was during Midsummer.
No, but
right?
this is an Appalachian anecdote.
Yep.
Hello, everyone. I'm Trey Blackburn. I'm the resident Appalachian in the room, here to bring shame and disgrace upon my home, my culture, and the people I love. So, I did theater, community theater in Eastern Kentucky with Artist Collaborative Theater, which is, I don't know if we still are, but used to be the most awarded community theater in the state of Kentucky. We were and there was a guy. We're gonna call him. What are we gonna call him? Let's call him. Fuck. What do we want to call it? Let's call him Loose Lips. Let's call him Loose Lips.
Loose Lips.
So Loose Lips was an older gentleman, used to be a school teacher that I acted with at this theater. Really liked him, really nice guy. But could not learn lines or song lyrics to save his life. I mean,
worse than you.
If light years worse than me. I was a rock star compared to this guy.
Yeah.
Never knew what he was supposed to be talking about on stage. And with line, like, you never knew what you were going to get from him. Like, going on stage with this guy, you had to be like, okay, here we go. So we were doing but he had this amazing talent when he would do musicals where he didn't know the lyrics of the song, but he could make up new lyrics within the rhyme scheme of and like rhythm of the song. It was amazing. It was I've never seen anything so impressive in my life. So like we were doing Little Shop of Horrors, and this guy, Loose Lips, was playing Mr. Mushnick.
Yeah.
And for those of you who know the musical Little Shop of Horrors, you know that Mushnick has a song called Mushnick and Son.
Yeah.
Which is Mushnick and Son.
That's that.
Officially I'm your brat.
Yeah, it's a good song.
Consider the matter closed and done. You know, that whole bit.
Yeah, it's a great one.
So he had to sing Mushnick and Son. But he didn't know the lyrics. And it would be different every night. And the one night I remember,
these are performances.
Yeah,
too.
Performances in front of an audience,
in front of a paying audience.
and he would make it up on the spot. And the one I remember most clearly, because it was so amazing to me that it lives in my head rent free, was he was singing Mushnick and Son, and he went, Mushnick and his dad, or Seymour and his dad. What a fad. And he did the whole song.
What a fad.
What a fad.
I'm officially declaring that rad.
That rad. Yeah. And like fucking did the whole song with that rhyme scheme. And you got to remember that if you're Seymour and the audience doesn't know this show and you don't play along, you're the asshole.
You are, because because that's a duet too.
Yeah.
It's not just Mushnick singing; it's Seymour. They have harmonies.
And so the guy who was playing Seymour, who knew his lines and was really, really talented and really, really good, was just doing Mushnick and Son.
Seymour and his dad.
And he was just looking like a dick on stage.
Oh, he was singing Mushnick.
Yeah, he was singing Mushnick and Son.
And the other dude was singing
Mushnick, Seymour and his dad.
That's hilarious.
And the audience, And the audience was like, Seymour messed up.
Fucking young dumbass.
Yeah.
Little turd.
Seymour and his dad.
It's like a big note at the end.
And literally, so I was a homeless person under, like, just sitting on the street outside of Mushnick's during
watching
the
the
song.
show.
Yeah, watching the show. And I was watching this happen in real time. And I was like, how? Because songs, for me, are really easy to remember because they have rhyme schemes.
Yeah.
Like, it's easy to remember because all you've got to really remember is the next word that rhymes.
Especially these musicals and these shows that are based off of something that everybody knows and loves.
Yeah.
Like, I had to do Shrek a couple of years ago,
Mm-hmm.
which you're well familiar with. And that was just a miserable process for me as an actor, because I played Shrek, and
You had to play Shrek.
I had to play Shrek. And
Yeah.
at that point, when I was growing up, like when I was a little kid, Shrek was just a good kids movie.
Yeah.
And it still is.
Yeah.
Go back and watch it. You talk about kids movies that like have jokes in it for adults. Like it's a classic version of it, and it's just a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
And then somewhere around like 6th or 7th grade, 4chan was really big at the time, and nothing good comes out of 4chan.
No. It's where white supremacists and neo-Nazis hang out.
Yeah. Well, nowadays it is.
Yeah.
But back in the day, it's just like you'd go to the B board and you'd watch just horrible things. You'd just like watch a dude get his head cut off like while he was taking a poop or some shit. it was just intentionally horrible things that you'd go on there. And this meme got really big. The Shrek is love, Shrek is life.
Yeah.
And it was just I forget what it was. It was just a picture of Shrek or something, and this fan fiction that someone had wrote. And
I read it all one time.
Yeah. They were just very in depth, and it was about this man fucking Shrek, and Shrek is love, Shrek is life, and it spawned this giant meme, and now
Shrek is like a meme.
Well, it turned into one of those jokes that memes are weird, because I love memes. Everybody loves memes. Memes are hilarious.
I love memes.
But when I was a little kid, when memes, when I was familiarizing myself with memes, my initial reaction was to hate them, because I viewed it as boilerplate comedy.
Sure.
It's just you take this out and you put this in. It's like what Hollywood does with comedy movies and what TV does with shows and stuff. It's just there's no thought, no creative. Now they've gotten very creative and stuff. But I hated memes, and so Shrek just got so annoying, and all people would talk. It's just like people who aren't funny, they just relate everything to like a SpongeBob episode or something. That was just my relationship with Shrek. And then I got cast as Shrek.
Yeah.
Which I got myself into. I got myself into.
Well, and you had to kind of anticipate it, right? Like,
yes, I knew that. So what happened was our department announced that they were doing Bye Bye Birdie, and then after the fact they decided that it was racist, and they shouldn't do it, and so then they were doing Shrek, and Shrek is one of those shows that you do if you need to make money.
Yep.
And you don't.
And it will.
Yeah, and it will. People love Shrek. It was very well sold.
Yep.
You saw it. You said
it was very good.
You enjoyed it.
Yep.
But it's one of those shows that's just like it's a money grab. The message in it is so elementary and so just baseline, like you shouldn't be mean to other people because they look different from you.
Yeah.
Yay, we're different, which makes us unique.
Yeah.
It's so spoon-fed to you throughout the whole show. And the show itself of Shrek the Musical, the movie is a well-written show, and it has it's got just good situational jokes in it and all these things. And then the Broadway version was obviously meant to be put on Broadway, because there's all these references. Another thing, I can't even do the Shrek voice
No,
at all.
You can't.
I
Love you dearly, but you can't.
I will now do the voice that I did in front of
Several audiences.
Yeah, several audiences, probably totaling up to like 1,000 people.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had several shows
Yeah.
of several hundred, but I was doing shit like donkey. Oh, donkey. It was like Family Guy on stage. I was like, oh, donkey. This is like that time I wrote that shitty song for Paul McCartney. it was shit like that on stage, and it was a bad script. The music for Shrek is great.
It is,
which is why I auditioned for it. I wanted to sing those songs. But there's the psychological damage that having to, like, seriously, to sit down and develop the character of Shrek and, like, let's see, okay, he was abandoned in the swamp by his parents, and then this made him sad and whatever, and now he's angry at the world. It was such a one-dimensional character, and what was annoying with it was the production that we did. There was there was just zero. It was not creatively fulfilling at all.
Right.
We brought in some director from New York who had seen the Broadway version, and he was like, "Okay, I'm gonna put that on UK stage."
Yeah.
And he pretty much did that. And
nice guy though.
Nice guy. I won't name his name, but if you're listening, you're a cool guy.
You're a very cool guy.
Very cool guy. Was doing probably what UK asked him to do, which was like make us money.
Yeah, put Shrek on stage.
And he put Shrek on stage. But it was just so telegraphed out, and like normally when I'm acting, I like to feel out like a scene. You do it a couple times.
Uh-huh.
I know how your directing style. You kind of just let us roam up there, and the best things will come naturally, and then you fix anything that's unnatural.
Yeah.
As opposed to, and then you're gonna strike this pose, and then I want you to crouch down and come over here, and everything has to happen within this triangle of action on the stage.
Well, I just don't believe that approach is cohesive to actor. I believe one of my core tenets as a director is I believe that everyone working on a production has a right to claim ownership of their work.
Yeah.
And if I'm telling you exactly what to do, how are you ever going to have ownership of that work?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, I would much rather you do what you think is right, and I'll tweak it to make it work.
Yeah. Yeah, that whole show, I gave the best performance that I had to try.
And
but
you were good.
I was all right. But at a certain point, the cycle. I haven't acted since. Just because, I don't know. It was such an enlightening experience to, like, at the end of the day, like, I was up there in all this Shrek makeup that took hours to apply and was miserable. It was so hot, and my head was so sweaty. And I had this giant. They put a fat guy in a fat suit, which
I don't know that I would call you fat.
I would.
I would call you big, but I wouldn't call you fat.
I mean, not to Shrek. Not like Shrek, certainly. But then I was just. I think it goes back to this thing that people think that everything has to be so big, and people have to, like, have brand recognition and all these things for a good show, which helps get butts in seats, sure, but the shows you do are fucking weird as hell, but that probably helps get butts in seats.
Well, what I have found to be effective in my marketing, what I do, is people are often drawn to the sort of naughtiness of what I do. Like, people, because, like, my first show I ever directed, the student body, the governing student body, the studio season board, told me I had to put a warning on the door for my show.
Yeah.
That they were like, you cannot do this if you don't warn people.
This was before Fisherman's Wife?
This was Clown Bar.
Clown Bar.
Yeah.
Yeah, you probably got to warn people about
I got to warn people about Clown Bar. So what I did was, a week out, I posted the warning on the door of the black box, and people went bananas. They're like, are you seeing the warning? Are you seeing what's going to be in this show? We got to go see this.
I remember seeing Fisherman's Wife, and there was a warning like the week leading up to it posted on the black box, and it was like, warning, the show has like all these sexual things, and then nautical humor was on there, which is just like jokes about boats and shit.
Yeah.
And that was the bullet point that got me excited for the show. I was like, fuck, man, there's nautical humor in it. They're warning people about it. It's gonna be a good show.
Well, and that became sort of my staple when I would direct, is I would have to post warnings on the door.
I remember the Hand of God warning.
The Hand of God warning.
Yeah.
Puppet sex.
No warning. Actually, there was a warning for Peter and the Starcatcher.
There was a warning.
Epilepsy stuff, right?
There was an epilepsy warning for Peter and the Starcatcher.
I got to have something dangerous in my shows.
I like...
that you got to warn about.
I like very much, and my tastes are changing. I will say I'm getting more sentimental in shows that I like. Because when I was in college, a lot of the shows I directed were like, for me, as an artist and as a person, to figure some stuff out about myself. And so it was kind of raunchy, and it was kind of, But my favorite play right now is one of the most wholesome shows you'll ever read. My favorite play at this moment is You Can't Take It With You by Moss and Hart.
I've heard the name You Can't Take It With You.
It's a Pulitzer Prize winning play. And it's about this. It's set in the 30s, and it's about this family called the Vanderhoffs, and they're like, essentially, they are the root of people like the Addams Family and the Robinsons from Meet the Robinsons. They're like that eccentric family with kooky hobbies.
Yeah, the weird family.
Yeah, they're a weird family, kooky hobbies. And the youngest daughter of the Vanderhoffs, Alice Sycamore, Grandpa Vanderhoff is the patriarch of the family. Mm-hmm. Alice Sycamore is normal. She lives a normal life. She works a job, and she is getting married to her boss's son. And the play is about these two families meeting each other for the first time and the chaos that ensues. Yeah. It's a beautiful play. Really like it. I was directing it before COVID, but our opening night lockdown went into effect.
Oh,
and we never got to open it, but it was so good. I love the play so much.
I was kind of out of theater. I was doing a lot of stand up.
Yeah.
Right when the COVID happened, and so I didn't really think about it, but like March. So it happened like mid-March, and that's like
March the 12th was the day the lockdown went into effect.
That is exactly around the dates that any because shows normally happen kind of seasonally. So that's like shows all over the world were probably starting like rehearsals and stuff around January, and then getting into tech late February,
opening
and then
mid-March.
Opening in mid-March, and then just got fucked by that.
It was opening. We opened on March the 12th.
Fuck, dude.
We opened on March the 12th. Never got to see an audience, but it was a great show. I'm very proud of it.
Yeah, that's gotta.
I would love to direct it again.
That's gotta suck so much to put in the whole process. It's like when
I think it actually sucks more for the actors than for me, because at the end of the day, I got to see my show.
Oh yeah, no.
I got to watch my show, and they never got to get their audience.
No, yeah, I'm thinking from the perspective of an actor.
Yeah,
because a rehearsal process can be for a show, even if it's a show that you really enjoy doing.
Yep.
It can be treacherous.
And taxing.
And it's you go there, and normally it's like 3 hours every day.
Yeah.
And you go
and we started rehearsing in mid-January. We
hit the ground running.
Yeah, we had put the time in. And in that time, our theater burned down. and we decided to keep doing the show.
Fucking went through it.
Yeah, it was a bad period.
God was trying to stop that show.
Yeah, and he did.
And
he did. He sure did
God
it.
damn, he had to shut down the whole world for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, let's talk about this.
Okay.
So in Utah, a couple like a week or two ago,
Yes.
they found. We've been texting back and forth about this
Since it started.
They found a monolith.
They did find a monolith.
Just kind of hidden in this little nook in the Utah desert, which I guess is the Mojave Desert
No
out
clue.
there.
I assume so.
It looked pretty rocky.
Sure.
It looked like something from Star Trek.
It did. It looked like fucking the opening of 2001.
Yeah, which was everybody's initial reaction, and everybody's initial reaction to this thing was aliens.
See, I
Maybe
thought it
not
was a
yours.
cult. I thought it was a cult. I was like, we're getting ready to see fucking 45 people commit suicide in a warehouse in Utah. I thought we were on some Heaven's Gate shit.
They found this monolith, and the series of events is they found the monolith.
It disappeared.
It disappeared suddenly.
Yep.
Like right after it was discovered.
Yep.
And then one popped up in Romania.
Yeah, and then disappeared.
That one disappeared too.
Yep.
Yeah, and then
one showed up in California.
Yeah, one showed up in California. So I thought when it was there and then it disappeared and then it popped up in Romania, that the Romania story was like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah, that was the one that hit.
That was the one where I was like, oh my god, because if it
it's
was
happening.
like, if it were somewhere in America, it'd be a little different. Because I think now the full stories come out to where an art collective is claiming authorship over these things.
Which and they're selling them now.
Are they? Yeah. We can get bun.
$45,000.
That's a lot of money for a monolith, and they're not super well made. They don't look like $45,000. But then again, I don't know. I mean, you can either buy a monolith or you can buy like a brand new BMW with some perks attached to it.
Yeah.
But when it popped up in Romania, I thought I was playing out this whole story in my head of like an alien yelling at another alien, like, you just left the spaceship in Utah. What the fuck is wrong with you? Get it out of there. Where am I supposed to put it? I don't fucking know. Put it on the other side of the world for all I care. They can't figure this out.
That's what he did.
I was putting this whole story together in my head, and of course it turned out to not be that fun. But
I would have done it. I would have kept the charade up longer, I think.
Yeah. Well, so what happened was...
See, what you do is you keep doing it. You keep putting them in different locations and having them disappear. And then one day you have them all show up at the same time in the same locations.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been crazy. If they all would have showed up at the same time, I would have been like, oh, fuck. It's happening.
Yeah. And then, like, you look at it from a global map, and it's like a target right over. And you're like, oh, shit, everybody in Alaska, run. And then it's just Alaska blows up. I thought, when it got removed, I don't think it was by the art collective, like the people who put it up. I think it was just like a group of dicks.
But if they're selling these things, surely they had to remove some of them personally.
Yeah, they probably removed one. I guess they got hookups in Romania.
Yeah.
They're like, hey, yo, throw that monolith up. But the weird thing is people went back, and on Google Images, you could see that thing had been there since 2016.
Oh, really?
In the Utah desert, yeah.
That's crazy.
That's interesting that just nobody had found it. But yeah, so it's... But you called it when I first sent you the article. You were like, I'm thinking either cult or performance art.
Yeah. I'm thinking either cult or performance because, like, I don't know. I'm just not lucky enough to see aliens.
Dude, there's this new show on Netflix called like Alien Worlds or something like that.
I have seen the advertisement for this shit, and I want to watch that show so bad.
It is so cool.
Is it really?
It's so pretty much what it is they they look at distant alien stars in like distant galaxies or whatever, and they know certain amounts about the star. Like they know that this star, there's a planet called Terra. Yeah. They're like, this planet Terra, it's this size, it's like twice as old as Earth. Um and it's got this density and this atmosphere and all this stuff. So they know like kind of technical stuff about it. And so what they do is they just, cuz if you miss the first minute of of the show where they're explaining kind of what it is they're about to show you, you're watching this like, holy shit, they found aliens and and there's footage of them, and it's like a Planet Earth documentary.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and they're explaining like here's like the airwalker, the air glider, and the atmosphere. The gravity is so light here that they can live their entire existence in the sky.
That's so cool.
And it's like, and when they fall to the ground, there's like these giant gelatinous boneless like masses that just like have like mouths on them. They're like scavengers, and they just eat up these things. And then there's the balloon predators that just grow from plants. And
oh my fuck.
And then like it is so cool. So what they do is they just say, okay, so we know that Earth has all these properties, like the density's this and this many years old and whatever. So we know that, and we know what life looks like here because of that.
Yep.
So let's just apply those same principles to speculate what life would look like on these distant planets.
That is so fucking cool.
And it's so cool, and you're watching it, and you're kind of assuming that there's some scientific basis
right
behind
but it doesn't
all
have
this.
to be.
It doesn't have to be, but it's the idea that I'm watching it, and I am just assuming that these whoever made this and whoever animated this was like going over science numbers or whatever it was. Like, we're pretty sure that this, but they still probably have no fucking clue.
Yeah.
And it's fucking insane because they're talking about it as if it was fact.
Yeah.
Like, there's pteropods, and this planet, like, half of it's super cold and half of it's super hot, and so like there's like these giant bug things that are like
so cool,
size of cats. You're gonna love it.
That's so cool.
But the planet Terra that because each episode, I think there's like 4. It's about a different planet. So there's one. The first episode, it was just like the atmosphere is really weird, and so you got these flying things and balloon monsters and gelatinous things. The second episode is this planet that's half cold, half hot. There's these bug creatures that inhabit the whole thing. The third planet is this one where pretty much oxygen and energy from their star is so great that it's just a cesspool of life. It's like the perfect place for life to, if life had like the perfect conditions.
That would be
it's
it.
like this green forest, and there's like these monkeys chasing these squirrels, and he's got like an arm that comes out of his gut so he can catch it. And then the really interesting one was, and I don't even know if I finished this episode, but the fourth planet, Terra. It's so they're like, this one is very similar to Earth in a lot of ways, except it's twice as old. So this is the only one. So they actually have a civilization on Terra. So all the other ones are just kind of alien worlds where these are kind of alien animals. Because I wasn't even thinking about that when I was before I started this. I was like, oh yeah, I guess aliens could be like, oh yeah, like alien dogs exist. Like we found just like little dogs on Mars. And that's alien life. Like, you always think of them as these
abstract
like or
huge as hell
gray heads or whatever,
lizard people,
whatever that is. And that probably, exist. But you think of human, you think of alien life that would be similar to human alien life, capable of civilizations that build off of one another's ideas. And this planet Terra it's just these giant like pods, and it's essentially the people on that planet have evolved past the need for their human bodies, and they've merged with AI, and so now they all think they're all individual, like they're like these little boxes with like just pure
neural networks.
Yeah, neural networks in them, and they think individually, but also as one
collectively.
So like this entire planet has like a hive mind, and
that's the future the liberals want.
Hive mind. Yeah, they're all communists.
Yeah.
It's just so interesting. You have to watch it.
I will.
You're gonna love it.
I'm very, very excited.
Do you like those Planet Earth documentaries?
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love any kind of like speculative fiction. Like, so I've been DMing this Dungeons and Dragons campaign for going on 3 years now.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
So let's just talk about this real quick.
Yeah.
Dungeons and Dragons.
Big D&D guy.
Big D&D guy, which makes perfect sense to me. I remember going over to your house a couple years ago just to play a board game.
Yeah.
I forget.
We were playing Dread.
We were playing Dread.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
is a great game.
Was just a fun board game. I had never really played a board game like that outside of like Chutes and Ladders or something.
Yeah.
That has like, because if you get into board game culture, which
deep.
I know you are, there's all these different games, and like, I haven't even played Settlers of Catan, so like
Settlers of Catan is fucking hard.
Yeah, I've heard, but that's the one that's like the complicated one that everybody knows, or Risk.
Yeah,
I've never.
I played Risk once for 2 weeks.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, shit like that. Monopoly is as deep as I'll go.
Yeah.
But that was so much fun. Just playing that, because it was like a murder.
Dread is a tabletop RPG where instead of using dice, you use a Jenga tower.
Yeah, there was a Jenga tower.
And essentially it's a horror movie. You're all in a horror movie, and any time that a tense or dangerous situation pops up, you pull out a Jenga block. And when the tower falls, your character dies.
Yeah.
And that's the game. So it's a much...
Did we all have our own Jenga towers?
No, there's just the one.
Just the one, yeah.
And only one character died, which was kind of incredible.
Who died?
Tomko's character.
Yeah, that was fun.
He was a paramedic.
It was a bunch of people who I were surprised agreed to a board game night.
Yeah, it was shit, we can't give out all their names.
Yeah, it was people.
Yeah.
It was a good time. But that was my first time playing an RPG type board game, and you, as I've now known, because over the past summer I played a D&D game.
Yep.
With where my buddy Tate was the dungeon master. And it's essentially it's like 4D storytelling.
Yep.
It's very similar to, I've watched kind of videos about video game design and stuff, and you have to predict what the player's going to do, and beyond all that, just building the design for your game. You yourself are a great storyteller.
Thank you.
And a great just mood setter, and so I can't imagine what it's like to play D&D.
I would love to play D&D with you at some point.
See, my fear is that I don't think I'm deep enough in it to.
Hey, everybody's got to start.
Everybody's got to start, but like, so I understand the basic things like character sheets, and when I played a grung.
Cool.
Which is pretty much a race of
little
frogs.
Frog guy.
Yeah, so I played the frog, and hijinks ensued. Yeah, but
as D&D, one of the best breakdowns of D&D I've ever heard is like, as a DM, you should plan Game of Thrones, but expect to play Monty Python. And between those two worlds, you'll get what you want.
That's great.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Plan for Game of Thrones, prepare to play Monty Python.
Because that's another thing with D&D is the role-playing and I played it. I played it with a group of friends that I've been boys with my whole life pretty much.
Yeah.
And so it was a weird disconnect to now be like role playing as these guys, which is weird because like I've done acting. I've made a fool of myself before, but it's so weird of being like, do you have any gold, sir? Oh yes. Can I look through your weapons? What weapons? Oh, a fine mace you have there.
Yeah. I think your girlfriend would be a great D&D player. I think she would be great.
Yes.
But I approach.
She made my little
grung.
Because that's another thing about D&D that's so cool is the little miniatures and stuff.
My miniature collection is impressive.
And nowadays it's really cool because what my buddy did was he just 3D printed everything.
Oh, that's cool.
And then he painted them himself.
That's so cool. I wish I could paint.
Yeah, but Emily made me a little like clay frog, little guy.
I did.
But so there's just so many different aspects of creativity that go into it. So
I've got a mini guy and a scenic guy for my. I got a set designer and I got a painter.
That's how into it you are. You got guys for these.
I do. I have a couple of guys that do my thing. But I. So I've been DMing this game for 3 years and.
That's also insane to me. Just the fact that you could be playing the same game, same storyline for 3 years.
Yeah.
We played ours for a summer, and it felt like forever.
I mean, let me tell you, this 3-year campaign, they're approaching the end. It will end this year.
Okay.
There's no way that they're going to make it last much longer.
And the crazy thing is, you could play a game for 3 years and then die and not make it to the end.
And that's one of the things that I've told my players. Like, the bad guys want to win too.
Yeah.
And if I pull punches on them, they're like, you're cheating us out of our win. Like, hit us as hard as you can hit us.
Yeah.
And so I do. I haven't killed any of them yet, but we've been playing for 3 years and they're only 13th level.
Okay.
And they just got to 13th level last game.
That's one of the things that I think, because people play different levels of D&D. Like, we just played a pretty bare bones style of like we had our spells. We leveled up through milestones, not experiences. That's the thing that disconnects from me because like I don't want to have to be sitting there and like, okay, how much is my backpack big enough to carry all these things?
I don't use encumbrance.
Is my weight big enough, or how slow am I? Okay, well now I'm tired. I gotta find something to eat. That's the thing that's the thing in games and stuff, in the video games, RPGs.
Yeah.
That takes it out of me. The too realism.
Yep.
That takes it out of me.
Well, and there's some people who want that in a D&D game. Like some people want to they're like, I want to survive. I want to forage.
That's fun.
That's just not for me.
It's fun if you're playing Minecraft.
Sure.
And that's the whole point of the game.
Yeah.
Is that it is kind of like the similar to like the gravity applies and you build whatever and you gotta eat and all these things but like if you're trying to do something else, you're like, dude, I'm trying to fight a fucking bearded dragon or
100% a bearded dragon.
Dude, I said bearded dragon, and in my head I imagined like
a dragon with a big beard,
a giant dragon like Smaug with a big beard, which it would make sense if dragons could grow beards.
Yeah,
they would all have beards.
In D&D, gold dragons grow beards.
They would all have beards because they've been sleeping on treasure forever.
I guess it's true.
Right?
But so like,
anyways,
they leveled up on experience points for 10 levels, I think, 9 or 10 levels. And then I was like, guys, I've got to switch it over to experience. I got to switch it over to milestone. This is just too, like, I hate doing experience points so much. We got to stop doing this.
Yeah, because you got to track all those little things.
But, so, this campaign's getting ready to end, and I'm trying to figure out what I want to do for the next campaign. And I'm really drawn to urban fantasy, like taking the real world and putting like a hidden magical world underneath it,
like Harry Potter almost.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But the trouble of it is, you know, like good urban fantasy stories are set in settings that like are so iconic. Like they're set in New York or Los Angeles or Vegas or you know.
That's what came to mind immediately. It's just
and like those are great settings, but they're not settings I know very well. So it'd be really hard for me to DM, you know, an urban fantasy in New York.
So are you gonna like play Appalachia D&D?
I've got some ideas for an Appalachian setting.
You got all the caves and mountains and stuff.
Yeah. I've got another idea that I have, and it's not a city I know super well, but it's a city I've been to multiple times. Is I think it would be interesting to do a D&D game set in Orlando.
Yeah, like Disney,
Orlando, Florida. Yeah. Universal Studios.
Interesting. And then outside of those shiny castles is where you meet the real people who live in Orlando.
Yeah.
And they're like the trolls or whatever.
Exactly.
Or the lowly
Walt
villagers.
Disney's a lich or whatever.
Yeah. You find Walt Disney's head. Still frozen.
Exactly.
You have to thaw it out. He starts saying something racist. You got to rethaw.
You got to refreeze him. Yeah. But like, I just think that would be a cool. And like, I don't know. Florida is such an interesting place in America.
I agree.
That like.
The butthole and armpit of America, right?
Yeah. If somebody told me that magic was real, I'd be like, oh, cool. And then they said like Florida was a magical place, I'd be like, back the fuck up. Florida's got magic? We gotta stop it.
Florida needs to be stopped.
Yeah, Florida has to be stopped.
What do you think it is about that state? Because there is a thing where different states definitely have different cultures and stuff, and you know we're obviously repping Kentucky and stuff.
Big UK,
Big Blue. I believe blue, and
100%.
Every state has their own little thing, but New York, very specifically, has New York City.
Yeah.
California is where movies are made, so it has a very certain vibe.
Yep.
And there are these things that you can apply to it. But what is it with Florida? Is it because it's Disney and it's so tourist
I
heavy?
think
Like the whole place is just a facade.
I think I think there's that aspect to it, that it's just been so commodified that like it has an air of strangeness to it. But I also think there's a layer of it's where the South meets the sea. And like any of those like coastal southern towns.
Holy shit, dude. Dude, something about that where the South meets the sea.
Yeah.
That just makes sense because coastal towns have such a particular vibe, and southern towns obviously have such a particular vibe.
Mm-hmm.
And when you just say that, I think of Louisiana. They're very specifically them.
Yep.
They're, I mean, Cajun. It's
beautiful culture of New Orleans.
I would love to visit New Orleans.
Yeah.
I think we were supposed to go down there for like before COVID was a thing. We were supposed to go down there for a fraternity thing, and it would have been so cool to see Bourbon Street and all that. I'll see it eventually, but still, Baton Rouge, Cajun, all that culture. But that makes sense because Florida is nothing but shoreline.
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing. It's a peninsula. It just sticks right. It's like the South stuck their dick in the sea.
Exactly. That's exactly what Florida is.
Florida's the dirty dick of the South.
That's right.
That's right.
And like
the Gulf.
Anytime you go to like a southern coastal town like Charleston, South Carolina is a good example.
Such a cool
town. Great city.
I wouldn't mind retiring there. That's like the perfect
Charleston's a great city, but it's so Charleston. It's not South Carolina. It is Charleston.
It's very insular.
Yeah. And I think Florida is kind of where it's like where it's so much coast. I think the whole state is like its own thing.
Yeah.
Like it's Florida.
When did you ever go down to Florida for like a family vacation?
Oh, 100%.
Or
100%.
Where would you guys go?
We're a Disney family. We went to Disney.
Orlando.
Yeah. Sometimes I went to Universal once.
We
never went to like a beach or anything in Florida. We were very like touristy Florida people.
We went to I think I've talked about this. I think we talked about this one of the last pods, but I think we used to always vacation in Clearwater.
I feel
which is where Hulk Hogan's from. Yeah, so there's just statues of him everywhere.
Hilarious.
I think I remember saying that.
That actually ties into what I was gonna say about.
It's going to be things we repeat on this podcast, by the
Yeah,
way.
about an urban fantasy campaign is the difficulty I'm having right now is like. So like one of my favorite D&D shows is Dimension 20. College Humor does it. It's magnificent. They're in season 2 of a campaign called The Unsleeping City, which is set in New York. And what the Dungeon Master does is
The Unsleeping City.
The Unsleeping City. Yeah, it's really good. But the Dungeon Master, Brennan Lee Mulligan, what he does is his father was a huge New York history buff. And like he ties in all of this like cool, interesting history from New York into the campaign. Spoiler alert for season 1 of The Unsleeping City, but the main boss of the big bad evil guy of season 1 is Robert Moses, who was a city developer in New York.
How do I know that name?
He essentially invented redlining.
Redlining.
Yeah, like keeping minority communities like out of like the nice neighborhoods.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get that mixed up with gerrymandering.
It's close to being the same thing.
Yeah.
But like he does this with Robert Moses, and it's so fascinating to me. And I want to do it, but like it's such a weird line to walk cuz like there are people in like history that I think are just, if they weren't evil people, they acted as agents of such evil.
Yeah.
But and like using the real life setting, like I don't want to trivialize atrocities by putting them in fantastical settings, if that in like a fantasy world, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah, well, but depends on what you do with it, because you can. It's so weird for a D&D game to get this deep.
Yeah.
But like, because I'm thinking more of like just like a film perspective. Like can you do satire in D&D?
Oh yeah. Well, and what I love about D&D is like I approach it like my D&D games have themes. There's a point I'm trying to get across. Like it's art to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's as much a story as any story I tell on the stage. And so like my current D&D game, they started off very typically, and it was the first game I ever DM'd, so I didn't really know what I was doing. And they were very morally gray characters. And they did a lot of stuff at the beginning of the campaign that I was like, that's really shitty. Like, it's really shitty that they did that.
When you first start playing D&D and you're introduced to the idea of a RPG that's non-video game, to where you can do anything you want in an RPG in a video game, but you can do anything you want.
You can be as evil as you want.
And boy, howdy was I when I played D&D. Like, that door opened up like, wait a minute, I can do all the fucked up shit in the world, and only you 6 guys will know about it.
Well, and that's the thing is like that I did with my D&D game is about a third of the way through the campaign, I started having the natural consequences of such awful things have to be dealt with. And now my party, they're all trying to make right all of the evil they did in the first half of the campaign while also trying to save the world at the same time. Like, essentially, my thesis for this campaign at this point is it doesn't matter if you save the world if you're still an asshole. Like, if you're an asshole who saves the world, you're still an asshole.
Interesting. There's a lot of those throughout history, assholes that saved the world.
Yeah, and one of the things that another like thing that I'm putting into this campaign is like another thing that I think is important is you can't save the world by yourself. Like, you have to have friends.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the party dynamic is the core of Dungeons and Dragons, a group of people who are working toward a common goal.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I've been pushing them is like this idea of you all may be the heroes of this story, but the great man theory is a myth. Like, it's not going to be on any one of your shoulders to save the world. You're going to have to do it together, and you're going to have other people willing to stand behind you to help you do it. and like the way that they're trying to like mend relationships with allies and like make all of these awful, like literally in the first half of my campaign, they did 9/11. They did not. They collapsed but it was worse because they collapsed an ancient temple that stood over this town. They collapsed it.
They did.
And then
9/11.
after they survived collapsing that temple, they went through and saved people from the wreckage, like so that they wouldn't look bad. They were like, "Oh, we've got to save some people so that we don't look bad."
That's so cool because now you guys have been playing this for 3 years,
Yep.
and they've hopefully evolved as people actually in real life, and so that's just so funny that they're not only that the dumb decisions of their characters made by them when they were younger and dumber is now coming back to bite them in the ass. That's cool.
And another cool thing, so like their backstories, like I did a backstory session with all of my players before we got playing, and one of my players, he's playing a Moon Elf, and we developed Moon Elf culture in this world together. Like he had very strong ideas about what it should be, and I was like, okay, let's work on this together.
Moon Elf.
Yeah, and
An elf
essentially
from the moon.
And they're essentially this like northern culture of elves, and they worship this jester god, and the men of the culture are very like jovial and very performative, and the women are like this very stalwart, very no nonsense, very intelligent, capable, group of women who keep the country running, and that's just kind of how their culture works.
So they're Germans.
Essentially. But they're also a polyamorous culture. Like their culture doesn't believe in monogamy. Like every Moon Elf man has several wives, or every wife can have several husbands.
Interesting.
And so he has 3 wives back home and a litany of children. And so through the campaign, he has been on this quest with this party away from his wife and children, and now the bad guys who know who he is, the family he's from, because he's also noble born.
Yeah.
And, what he has done to them, they're picking off his children. They're
killing them.
They're kidnapping them and holding them for ransom and holding them as bargaining chips. They're kidnapping his children, and his wives have been driven out of Moon Elf society because they took over their homeland. Like there's a coup in their homeland. They took over the
moon?
Huh?
They took over the moon?
Not the moon. The land of the Moon Elves. They live like up north in like this icy
the
peninsula.
Moon Elves don't live on the moon?
No, the Moon Elves
Man, fuck this whole story.
They get that name because they worship the moon god.
Okay.
And like this jester moon god, he like juggles the phases of the moon. Like that is the god they worship.
Interesting.
But anyway, so his wives have been driven out of their homeland. They tried to kill his father. They've captured his children. So like one of the things, like he went and saw his wives a few sessions ago, and one of his wives got mad at him and was like, "You left us. Like we needed you and you weren't here." And that's,
This is another thing I love about D&D because you're telling this whole story and it's riveting, and it's like yeah relationship stuff, but the actual essence of playing the game is I know that it's you now acting as this man's wife and bitching out your friend like, where were you? We needed you. And then he's got to respond.
Yeah.
And then you're just having a marital argument with your friend.
One of my players, he got married during the campaign. Like he met an NPC, fell in love with her, and got married to her.
Oh, you got married during this campaign.
I did. I got married during this campaign. That's true. But he's been keeping a lot of the secrets of the awful shit they've done from his wife to protect her. And he's decided that, like, if I'm going to be a better person, I've got to tell my wife about all this shit that we did. And he, like, dropped...
She left his ass.
Well, she hasn't left him yet, but he told her one thing. He told her one awful thing they did. They killed her adopted father. Like, she was an orphan. She was adopted by a man. She was raised by a man. She, went and lived her own life as a woman. And then on their quest, just by happenstance, they didn't know that it was her adopted father, but they killed him. They murdered him, not knowing that that's who he was.
Some Oedipus shit.
Yeah, and so he told his wife that he killed her father.
And she's like, I'm sorry.
And we had
me?
we had a scene where we went back and forth and talked about it, and he cried. He cried at the table.
Yeah, I mean, you can get pretty emotionally invested in that sort of stuff.
Just because he had disappointed her so much. And he still hasn't told her that he did a 9/11.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But, like, that's what draws me to D&D, is, like, people bringing their fucking dick-ass jackhole characters to the table. And how can I get people at my table to think about who they are through the relationships they make with my world and the characters I make up?
Man, I would have hated you as a GM. It'd be fun. It'd be fun to play. But when we were doing ours, essentially, I was doing the table work for Grungs, and their whole culture is based in race.
Yeah.
It's all green grungs versus
red grungs, yellow grungs.
and yellow grungs are like god grungs, and
Yep.
they have a whole caste system based on race.
Yep.
And pretty much, and they were all constantly enslaving each other.
Yep.
And pretty much my guy broke out of that caste system, like he was a green grung, so which is kind of lower on it. But he murdered like the red grung that like ran his society.
Yeah.
Just an outlaw from society, wanted like shoot on sight type thing. And look, my dungeon master never brought that up to me. Like it never bit me in the ass. But that would have fucked me so hard if I were playing with you.
But here's the but like that's what's cool about D&D is like you coming up with that character. You all like would have been hunted by grungs from day one.
Yeah.
In my world, like that is just a problem you all would constantly have to deal with.
Yeah.
And
but
that's
it's fun.
Yeah. Well, and that's like if you're gonna go to all the trouble of making a backstory for a character, if I deny you to revel in that story that you've come up with, I'm a bad dungeon master. Like that's my job is to let you revel in the story you want to tell.
Yeah.
And so like I'm trying to figure out what I want to do for this next campaign. I don't know yet. But you and Emily need to play with me at some point.
I know I'd be down. I wonder how she would interact with it. She likes games though.
It's the greatest game ever.
Yeah.
It's
D&D.
the greatest game ever. I like, gosh.
And it's weird that it's only been around since kind of the 80s, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's so weird.
It evolved out of like the wargaming community.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
You know, I think I would have if I had gotten in on the ground for like something like World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
I think if I had been old enough at the time, I think about that a lot. If I had been at a certain age and I'd gotten into something at a certain time, then I bet that it would have consumed my entire life.
Oh,
like I'd still be playing WoW right now.
Yeah.
If I had gotten into it at the right.
Let me tell you, man. This morning, so I was meeting you at 11 today. I woke up at 8 o'clock and took a shower. And at 8:30, I started work on designing the final boss for my campaign. Because I knew, I was like, I've got to do it at some point. It's going to take a long time, so I might as well do it this morning. I designed that final boss until I came here. It's done. I finished
until I came.
Until I came. Yeah, until I came all over myself. Right in my eye.
And now I can't see.
But now I've got the final boss of the campaign done. So once they get there, all I've got to do is pull it out.
Boy, howdy.
It's bad, too. They're fucked. They are fucked if they don't play this right.
The members of Treyton's party, you guys are fucked. You're going to die.
They might.
Yeah.
And I told them. I've already told them.
I'm going to try to kill you.
I told them, I said, if you die at the end of the story, then it's a tragedy. And that gets to be...
Then it's a tragedy.
Then it's a tragedy.
I love it.
That gets to be your story. You were tragic heroes. And you did all the work to be good people, but you still couldn't save the world. Like, if you die in the final battle, at least you know you made yourself right with people. At least you know you made yourself right with your wife. You made yourself right with your friends. and you died trying your damnedest to keep the world from ending.
If you guys have someone die, like, have you had anyone die?
Nope, I've not had any players die yet.
Okay. And if someone died like 2 years ago, would you have them make a new character or just be out of it, or
make a new character? Yeah. I don't,
we had that happen. My buddy's brother died like 2 or 3 times, and and just kept coming in with new characters, and we're like, you look a lot like Quasar or whatever.
Well, and here's the thing about my characters is, like, I'm a storyteller, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for most of the time, I'm not designing combats that are going to kill my characters, right?
Yeah.
I'm only shooting to kill when it would be dramatically interesting to kill a character.
Yeah.
So, like, a bit of an abstract plot, but, like, the guy who got married to an NPC, he got her pregnant, and this god that was trying to enter the world sort of kicked his son's personhood out of his body and, like, imbued himself into this kid's form. And there was a several month-long quest of them trying to figure out where his kid's soul got sent to. They found it, and I told him, I was like, hey, man, your character might die this session saving his son. And if that's the way he goes out, I think that's beautiful. So I just want you to know that there is a distinct possibility you might die this session, but it's a moment.
It's been a goddamn honor.
Yeah, it's been a goddamn honor, and I'm closing out your story the way, like, your character is getting an ending that he deserves.
I love it.
And that's the way I believe. Like, if I'm, people are invested in their characters, they deserve endings that, let them be heroes.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to die, in our game, just because I thought it'd be interesting.
And I would kill a player character. I don't have something against as a dungeon master. I just haven't done it yet.
Yeah. Do you guys, when you play, do you, like, dim the lights and, like, put on wizard hats and, like,
we don't
robes?
I mean, I would put on a wizard hat if I had one,
and put, like, a star projector on the ceiling.
Well, we have LEDs that we have different lights.
Okay, so you
there's music.
You do a certain. Yeah, we did music too, and that actually it helps.
It does
get you in the mood.
Yeah,
and stuff.
That's cool. Like the fucking battle music, you turn on a fucking Dark Souls battle theme.
Oh, we'd put on the Doom Eternal soundtrack.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Have you played that game?
I have. I've watched a lot of people play it, but I haven't played it.
I'm currently playing it right now.
FPSs aren't really my thing.
Yeah. RPGs aren't really my thing.
I love RPGs.
But I think my preferred video game is a very campaign heavy one where that's linear, because I get lost in RPGs. What happens is I'll turn on I eventually got through Fallout 3 when I was a kid playing that, and I loved it. But my first couple times playing it, I never even, like, you start that game trying to find your dad, and then like it's like 5% into the game you find him, he's dead, you're like, oh shit. Yeah. And then you go from there. It's like the inciting incident. Yeah. I didn't even make it to that. No. I just got lost, and I was like hitting a rat with a stick, and I was like, what is the point of this game? I need a little more linear storytelling. I like things like I like things like the Uncharted games. Yeah. Those are great when you're running around, interesting shits happen. You get to shoot people in the face, that's fun. But then again, you get to swing from a thing, and you're climbing something, and then all of a sudden you're driving a helicopter, and I like variety in a game, I guess. And
here's the thing, recently in my life, pretty much the game that I play is D&D. Like, if I have a game that I play that I can do anything and make any story I want, like, why would I spend $60 to play a story like, why wouldn't I just invest my money in, like, building up my minis collection and like, getting more stuff for D&D?
Yeah. Yeah, and plus, yeah, I guess one thing is, I mean, you got your whole method and stuff. But some games like that leave it so open ended, like Minecraft.
Yeah.
When I first played Minecraft, I played it. I was, man, I don't even know the year. Maybe 5th grade or something. So I was probably like 10, 11, which was 10, 11. I was probably like 2009.
Right.
So who even knows if Minecraft was around in 2009?
Sure.
And thus invalidating this whole story.
Right.
It was the very beginning of Minecraft. It was still in its early beta version, and my friend was playing it on his laptop, and I felt like the way I had the same reaction to it that most like middle age people would have it to it now. Like, what the fuck is this game? The graphics look horrible.
Yeah.
Wait, so you just build things? And he was showing me this rail system that he built like through this mountain, and I was like, dude, that's so stupid. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
And then obviously it blew up. But if I just sit down and play Minecraft, I have a fun time. If I get in a server with some friends and we're gonna go fight the Ender Dragon, that's fun to me because I can be like, all right, I gotta build up all these things, collect all these resources, and then we're gonna go in here, we're gonna fight him. It's gonna be a whole thing.
Yeah.
But just maybe I'm just not. I don't have the eye for design.
Well, and here's like
building houses and stuff. I was never into that.
Yeah.
If I built anything big and spectacular, I used to have a YouTube channel called Out of Batteries that you might be able to find still online.
I'll look for it.
And I would make Minecraft videos, and like the stuff that I would make like pixel art of like the U.S. presidents.
Oh, that's cool.
I was a fucking nerd, bro. I made all the U.S. presidents. Yeah, it was called Mr. President.
Oh, that's cool.
Look it up.
But here's the so like the difference with D&D, in my opinion, than like something like Minecraft is like the DM is a player, right? Like I'm playing the game too, and like my goal is to create story and get you all hooked into whatever.
Plus, you have like a book. They have like campaigns.
I don't use books. I mean, I pull stat blocks, but
yeah, but like right now you're running the Tomb of Annihilation.
I'm not running Tomb of Annihilation. I've taken stuff from Tomb of Annihilation. But
okay, so you make up your completely whole.
The whole world is my creation.
That's interesting. Okay,
so like. I'm using the death curse from Tomb of Annihilation now because the god of death has entered
soulmonger.
Yeah. And I've replaced the soulmonger with the avatar form of this death god.
Okay, cool.
So they have to kill him to end the death curse.
That's more interesting. When we got to the soulmonger, and it was just like a giant
the Atropol.
It was like
the big giant baby.
Yeah. I was like, what the fuck is this thing?
Yeah.
It was easy to kill it too, but like we just kept falling in lava.
Because that's what the campaign books are useful, in my opinion. What they're, what's cool about them is they have a lot of interesting ideas that even if you're not running that campaign, you can use them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I do is I read them and take what I like and leave out what I don't like. I'm probably never gonna run a campaign in Faerun, because it's too restrictive. Like, I don't want to run somebody else's world. Like, what if I want to do something else? And, like, I know that I can change Faerun if I want to, but why would I want to? If I'm going to change Faerun, why don't I just make my own world?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, this has been great.
This has been a great pod.
Second episode.
So we are going on like 1:25, so like an hour 25 minutes.
Wow,
and
that's a big one.
We did like an hour, or get close to an hour pod before this. So we like did a whole Joe
45
Rogan
minutes.
podcast. Just
yeah.
Now.
Amazing.
Unfortunately, you guys will only get
the one. Unless we find one magically.
Yes.
We'll have to record an ending for it.
Yeah, just well, luckily we got to nothing that we were planning on getting.
Amazing.
To talk in that first one.
Yeah.
Real quick before we go.
Sure.
So your favorite Christmas movie. This is how we started.
My favorite Christmas movie is The Year Without a Santa Claus.
And mine is probably Christmas Vacation.
Yeah.
It's such a classic.
That's my wife's like whole family. Like they love Christmas Vacation.
Yes. Oh, and before we go, Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. It's a film that takes place at Christmas time.
Whoa.
Christmas is not at the heart of the theme. Therefore, it is not the Christmas movie.
That's a controversial opinion.
It's the correct opinion in my opinion.
Wow. I've never I've never seen Die Hard, so I can't.
I mean is what makes a movie a Christmas movie? Does it have to be about Christmas, or does it does it just take place at Christmas time? Because if you do that, I mean, Christmas time, it's a 12th of the year,
Right.
So
I think
so many movies can be considered Christmas movies if you do that, but it's
I
not.
think Christmas has to be related to the theme, or at least the primary sort of like aesthetic. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I don't know that anything particularly Christmassy is at the core of the Santa Claus movies, but they're absolutely Christmas movies.
Yeah, that's absolutely Christmas. I guess
Like,
you're right, but it's they're having a Christmas party. That's it.
Yeah.
In Die Hard, it's a movie. It's an action movie about a guy trying to redeem his relationship with his wife.
Here's a fucking thing that I believe. Nightmare Before Christmas is a Thanksgiving movie.
Really?
Yep, that's what I think.
And my hot take is that I don't know if I've fully seen that movie, Nightmare Before
It's good.
Christmas, but I enjoy it, and it's kind of a Halloween movie.
I think it's a Thanksgiving movie. It's like not wholly a Christmas movie, and it's not wholly a Halloween movie.
How is it a Thanksgiving movie? They give
because
thanks at the
because
end of it?
the theme of Nightmare Before Christmas
Because in between Christmas and Halloween is
is
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving, but also Jack Skellington must learn to be thankful for the role he has, not aspire to be something that he's not. Like, thankfulness is the core theme.
Yeah, I guess you're right, because he starts that movie as like a famous
He's
musician
the
or
Pumpkin
whatever.
King. He's the king of Halloween.
Yeah.
And he's like, I want something more. And then he tries to be Santa Claus, and he fails at it because he's not Santa Claus.
Yeah.
And so
That's a good movie. The bits I've seen.
it's a Thanksgiving movie.
Thanksgiving movie.
It's about being thankful.
All right.
Be thankful, people. Hey, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
This is
Absent all the genocide stuff, be thankful.
Be thankful. Don't think about that.
No. I mean, think about it. But,
don't
don't
forget.
let it ruin your holiday.
Don't forget about it.
Right.
But don't dwell on it.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
This has been Kentucky Fried Roadkill. You did the outro last time. Hold on, let me think of an outro.
Oh, yeah.
You count. Hold on, give me a second.
3, 3, 3, 3, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1.
Oh, she could go all the way.